Welcome everybody. It is Business Monday here in rainy downtown Providence, here at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. New England weather doesn't know if it wants to be 50 degrees or 90 degrees in the past week, but we'll wait till tomorrow and it's going to be back to 80 degrees. Thank our friends at Deepwater Wind for their support. With me today is a really interesting initiative going on. Vin Mesalillo, longtime chairman of the Narragansett Bay Commission, doing really some innovative things with the community, and an unusual step. Usually when big quasi-public agencies go and do big projects, they kind of move in and out of a neighborhood and not always look over their shoulder. And in this situation, really turning in one very positive program, the CSO initiative, and turning it into a big initiative in the Olneyville section. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Narragansett Bay Commission is a mammoth agency, as you know. But what we do, we're in the middle and in the heart of communities across our service area, Providence, of course, being the largest service area. And in this particular case, when we were designing and developing phases 1 and 2 for our largest public program in the state's history, we always look with an eye toward leaving the community better than when we found it. And in this particular case in Olneyville, this demonstrates our commitment to leave the community in a better position than we found it.
And you're teaming up with the councilwoman, she's going to be on in a moment, and Southside Community Land Trust to build really, I've never heard of it being done here in Rhode Island, a partnership between an agency like yourself and building really massive community gardens to be able to support the community and reclamate the environmental impact in the area.
Well, one of the things we pride ourselves at the Narragansett Bay Commission, not only staff but employees and commissioners, is that we like to be accessible. And in this particular case, we received a call from Councilwoman Matos, who was very aggressive in looking for improving the community. She became aware that we had a piece of underutilized surplus property, and she approached me with the prospects of what can we do with this property that can be a benefit to the community. And for that, she deserves enormous amount of credit. Many times we find that the political community, they're absorbed in many other things, and these things go with no initiative whatsoever. In this particular case, she took the initiative to give me a call. We met on this particular piece of property. It's actually on 189 Valley Street, better known as George's Tire, for those who have been around the city for a long
That's
time.
Right.
And through her efforts and the efforts of our public relations group and our promotional people, along with Commissioner Matos, Councilwoman Matos, she's been in contact, I believe, with the Southside Land Trust, and hopefully, in the very short term, we're going to find ourselves with a beautiful urban garden, and we're ecstatic to be a part of that process.
So you're known as a get it done kind of guy. Sabina Matos is a get it done kind of woman.
She is.
And you can't say no to her when she
you
calls.
cannot.
No, absolutely not.
Well, this is certainly a project that you absolutely do not want to say no to.
No, absolutely.
A lot of considerations went. How can the community best benefit from this piece of property? It's the perfect location for it. She kicked around a couple of ideas, I know, and then I guess she just settled on this urban garden concept, which we support. We intend to be a long-term partner, and we're gonna continue to support the community, as always been our philosophy to do so.
It's interesting, we were talking beforehand, Olneyville is one of the most vibrant small business retail areas. This is adjacent to it. It's really remarkable. You go down there, there's a couple vacancies on the store. You come down here in downtown Providence, there's a vacancy there, there's a vacancy there, there's two up there. In Olneyville, that place is packed, and it's all locally owned small businesses.
It's coming alive, and you may recall, for many years, it had a tremendous flooding problem.
Yeah.
And when we were designing phases 1 and 2, combined sewer overflow project, we looked at that and said, how can we best resolve the flooding issue along with doing the sanitary flow structures? And I am told that the flooding situation there has been completely and totally mitigated, and that makes this project become a reality.
Combined sewer overflow, you have literally spent billions of dollars, correct?
We will be approaching billions of dollars.
Yeah,
yes.
right. And
Yes.
this has made a tremendous impact on the health and the cleanliness of Narragansett Bay. I think, you know, what's the word? It's the cleanest it's been in over 100 years in Rhode Island, and the impact to real estate value, recreation, tourism has been tremendous.
Yeah, and you probably read, some people think it's too clean. I don't know if you read that, but
You have voiced that. You have voiced that some of the standards might be a little onerous. We've hit a pretty good level.
Well, we always rise to the occasion. We have dedicated employees and staff, and they deserve a lot of credit for the hard work that they've put in through the years. And again, leaving, as I said earlier, more pertinent to this discussion, is we always leave our communities better than we found it. Not only we work toward a cleaner bay, but also better communities. And we're always happy to be a part of that.
Your impact's not only on the health of the Bay, but also in Olneyville. Why I've got you here, just last month was the opening of the Citizens Bank campus.
Yes.
Up in Johnston. And Citizens Bank officials have told us repeatedly on the record that company probably would not have been locating in Rhode Island, would have left the state, whatever it is, 3,000 jobs there, is that
Yes,
the number?
3,000 jobs.
If it weren't for some of the visionary work you had done up there in pre-designing how to get functionally water and sewer into different growth areas around the state. That's got to make you proud. You know, I don't think many people think of, you know, the chairman of the board of the Narragansett Bay Commission as somebody who's thinking about the long-term economic growth opportunities of the state of Rhode Island. But you started doing that work years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, fortuitously, we have a board of commissioners which are forward-thinking, and I try to fertilize that. So, and I keep them thinking about the future, and I was able to. It wasn't too hard to convince them that we should be looking at expanding our service area. And we did a study. I asked them, and they agreed to let us spend some money to look at the potential growth areas. And that area where Citizens Bank is was identified years before this project ever came to fruition as one of the growth areas. So we had already had identified it and begun preliminary planning and studies and preliminary engineering for that growth. And when Citizens Bank approached us with the possibility of expanding the utilities, both sewer and water, and they said, the only problem is, you know, we're going to need it maybe in 18 months. They said, we'll have it there in 12. And we're ready to go. And, you know, they were literally shocked at the thought that,
They voiced to me that they thought you were lying.
Yes,
yeah, it wasn't that this was a over-promise, under-deliver. Yeah. They straight out did not believe you.
No, they didn't believe it. And I remember having a conversation with Mike Knippa, who was a top real estate guy who was leading the Citizens Bank expansion initiative. And when I said, we will deliver that project, and he looked at the owner of the property and said, what does he mean? He can deliver it. And the owner looked at me and said, well, what do you mean? I said, what does he mean? What do I mean? I said, the Narragansett Bay Commission will deliver that project. We'll deliver it on
Abbott
time.
and Costello, was this
little
play
out first.
Right.
It was a great meeting.
What do you mean by on time?
By the way, they were great to work with. Mike Knipper was super involved in the project. We worked on it daily. And I'm proud to have been a part of that process. We saved 3,000 jobs in the state of Rhode Island. It's definitely a feather in the state of Rhode Island's cap. You know, the governor included. Don't forget, the governor was involved. The director of the Department of Transportation was involved, and he was a liaison between the Federal Highway Administration to get the 295 off ramp done. It was definitely a team effort. The Department of Transportation and the Department of Environmental Management. It was a team effort. I like to think that we played a large role in it, and we're proud of the way it all turned out.
That's great. Congratulations on the success with citizens. Congratulations on this. We're going to be right back in 1 second with the two key stakeholders, Councilwoman Matos and Margaret DeVos over at Southside Community Land Trust. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Hold on. Welcome back, everybody. I want to thank you for tuning in here at the 4 o'clock hour at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. We're talking about an initiative between the Narragansett Bay Commission, the Olneyville neighborhood, and Southside Community Land Trust. Councilwoman Matos, you were kind of the brainchild behind this idea of taking a piece of property that had kind of been part of a construction project of the CSO initiative by Narragansett Bay Commission. It was kind of left there dormant, and you came up with a great idea on how to reuse it and add some value to the community, and then crack the whip on, by the way, on Chairman Messalillo. If you can crack the whip on Chairman Messalillo, you have accomplished something. Talk a little bit about that first phone call over there.
Thank you. No, it was a pleasure. Actually, this property is right on Valley Street in Olneyville, for all of us Rhode Island type of how we give directions.
Where the Almax used to be?
That's where, close by the Alma, where the Alma used to be, but where George Tire used to be,
Absolutely.
187 Valley Street. So this property has been maintained since after the constructions by Narragansett Bay Commission. They always kept the property nice, but I just thought that something else could go in that location that can be of benefit of everybody else in the commission, of everybody else in the neighborhood. At the beginning, we kicked around a few ideas, did it the Olneyville way. So called some of the partners, members of the Olneyville Collaborative up to come to talk to us, to look at the site and come up with ideas. But then I just, I thought about the Southside Community Land Trust and the work that they have done in other areas. And I thought that, let me invite Margaret to come to the meeting also to take a look at the site to see if this is something that could work for them. So that's
Margaret, Southside Community Land Trust has been one of the most innovative groups. It started in the 80s. I mean, this is not an overnight success.
No.
This is are we in the 40 years, 30-something years?
37.
Yeah, 30-something years, overnight success. People are really learning about what you guys have done over the past few years. And now it's another expansion of the kind of services and expertise you're bringing to another part of the city. Talk about how you're growing, how you're expanding, and how you can help with this initiative.
Okay, well, you know, neighborhoods across there are neighborhoods across Rhode Island that are similar to Olneyville, and lower incomes, high density, not a lot of access to fresh, healthy food. And Southside Community Land Trust works to make land available for community gardens and urban farms and rural farms to help bring healthy food, to help the people in these communities grow food and bring healthy food to their own tables and to the tables for sale to their neighbors. So this is, we host a network of 53 community gardens, urban and rural farms, and it's all for the purpose of helping people to grow the food, to market the food. We provide training for young people and adults. We help farmers strengthen their businesses and help farmers with marketing, and certainly about 3,000 people are eating out of our community gardens that are in Pawtucket, Central Falls, Providence, South Providence, Olneyville. Right now.
Yeah.
So we've had literally hundreds of restaurants on since we started GoLocal Live 18 months ago, and almost every single one talks about, you know, they want fresh to the table, and it's a key element that the consumer really demands, and they want local, and there's not enough supply. And then juxtapose that most traditional family farms in Rhode Island are aging out. The next generation doesn't want to do it. They have huge financial issues. Many of them are making, you know, sub $30,000, and they're trying to hold on. Maybe they've sold their development rights, or the land's being used for solar. In those cases, they're fairly vibrant. There's a lot of need for agriculture grown in Rhode Island. How much can this initiative grow, and can it start to support providing you know, important food stocks to those restaurants that are in the Olneyville area or across the city?
Well, so right now, there are 3 farmers markets in South Providence. One is at the Knight Memorial Library, one is on Broad Street in Lower South Providence, and one is at Armory Park. Those are
And at one other place.
There's also an Olneyville pop-up farmers
one,
market as well. And
by the library.
By the library, yeah. And it depends year to year. Is it 80% of the farmers that are growing on South Side owned and managed land? Is it 85? Is it 90? There have been years where all of the farmers in those 4 markets are growing on land that we were able to make available to them, and then selling their product to the neighborhood right there. So that's already, those farmers markets couldn't be nearly as successful without those farmers. So there's already, that's a huge part of the local food system, and it's really creating access for people who don't already have that much access to fresh, healthy, affordable food. Certainly our farmers, we work with 4 different farmers collaborative, marketing collaboratives.
That's great.
Where our staff works with farmers to jointly market the food to restaurants, to retailers, both in downtown Providence, in Boston, and right locally in the neighborhoods where our urban farms are.
Sabina, when you made that first phone call over to Narragansett Bay Commission, was the reaction, what?
Actually, the chairman has been great to work with. Chairman Mazzolino has been very approachable. When I call, I have to say he picked up my calls. Number one thing.
Who wouldn't?
And then and I talked to her about what I was thinking about returning that property back to the community and the neighborhood, and it was on board right away. It was really easy to have the conversation. One of the things that this is going to complement once we settle finally in doing the farm, the local farm with Southside, is right now, a little bit down the street, if you go to the Valley neighborhood, we're going to have Farm Fresh. The new location is going to be built in there. So this is going to complement that. Also, we have a lot of new developments happening in the Valley area. We have the Waterfire building.
Yeah, right.
We've been there for
absolutely amazing.
So many events happening there. So the community is coming to life. There's a lot of things happening there, and this is just another great addition to the area.
That's great. Southside, how big, how supportive can it be across? Where does it stop? Are you going to continue to grow across the urban corridor in the state, and are you going to expand up and down the state?
Well, so we our big focus is helping people in communities build their own local food systems that serve them, and really working in neighborhoods where there isn't fresh food access. And so this is an example of that. Councilwoman Matos has a level of influence, and she's working to make sure that her community has access to fresh, healthy, affordable food. And we're just here to facilitate that. And we work with community gardeners and farmers and local officials and whoever else is interested in helping. We're just facilitating that. People are really doing it. So, and people across the state want to do it. We're just moving in the direction that we need to move to make more of it possible for more people. So we're community gardens, we're urban farms, but a lot of our urban farmers, they're good, they're strong farmers, they need more land. And so we're helping to facilitate them to move on to 2-acre parcels, to 5-acre parcels, to 10-acre parcels. Not in the cities, but their customers are their customers. People never leave their customers. So those farmers are going to continue to be the same farmers that are in the farmers markets in the neighborhoods.
And if you're a person in a community with an idea, if you're an existing farmer that's looking for technical help or other potentially parcels, or if you're an elected official trying to deal with abandoned property and deal with it for reuse, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way to jumpstart that?
Well, on our website, which is at southsideclt.org, and CLT stands for Community Land Trust, southsideclt.org, you can find out all about all of our programs, and certainly you can find my email address and my phone number. Call me. Call me. We are here for you. We are
That's
here
great.
for you. We want to get that call.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you,
Congratulations, Councilwoman, on the leadership.
Thank you.
Love the innovative ideas. This media is built for talking about these things and having conversations about us. We want to stay in touch with this as it develops and goes. Maybe we'll do a live broadcast from over there when you get ready, when the first beans come up or whatever is going to be grown over there. And really appreciate you guys taking the time to come over. Thank you both, and congratulations on the success.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for tuning in today. Business Monday is always rapid fire. We'll be back tomorrow. I think Laura Afonso's on, I think at the 3 o'clock hour. I never really know. And then big day of coverage all day live into the evening on GoLocal Live. We'll be having election coverage. I think former Governor Chafee's coming on. I believe former Mayor Paolino is going to be on. But it's going to be an action-packed day, and we'll be Skyping in from places across the state at the campaign headquarters, at election night results, as well as from polling places around the city. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you back on GoLocal Live tomorrow.